Alrighty. So yeah, thank you all for being here. We're really excited. This is the 3rd annual Field to Family Food Hub Planning Meeting. So we're going to give just kind of a brief introduction of Field to Family, our history and our mission. We're going to talk about Hub Wholesale, basically what our model looks like, what our impact has been, and then touch on really this planning meeting. What does planning for 2021 really mean and look like for us? And then a good portion of the meeting is going to be just kind of diving into wholesale readiness, because as some of the people mentioned during the intros, is we have farmers that are at a bunch of different scales in our community right now, and some are, and others are more interested in accessing this market. So we're going to kind of talk about what does it mean to be wholesale ready. And then we'll get into just some of the nitty gritty of how working with the hub looks on a week-to-week basis, and dive into some of the FAQs that we often get from farmers and producers that we work with. And then we've got some surveys, signups, some invitations to upcoming events and trainings. And then we'll have plenty of time for discussion and questions at the end. We've already introduced ourselves. If you're listening to this virtually, come to a meeting and we'll get to know one another. All right, Julia, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Field to Family as a whole before we jump more into talking about the Food Hub specifically. So we're a nonprofit based in Iowa City, and if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see what we're all about. We're working on making a more community-based food system, which is one that makes it easy for people to eat seasonally, for farmers to make a sustainable living, and for our food to be grown in a way that's good for both people and the environment. So we do this in a few different ways. We focus a lot on food system education. So whether that's with our farm to school program, working with students to show them where their food is coming from, or telling stories about farmers, providing more information about the benefits of buying local food to our wholesale customers or our new online farmers market, direct-to-consumer customers. We're trying to create a more informed community who is better equipped to make good choices when it comes to the food that they are deciding to purchase and eat. On the ground, we work to expand access to local foods. So we have a farm stands program that purchases local food from local farmers and distributes it for free to community members experiencing food insecurity. And then, the online farmers market this year was a way to maintain access between producers and customers through this really strange growing season. And then, of course, our food hub and our farm to school program work to put more local on the menu at different places in our community where people eat every day. And we're doing all of this, again, in a way that, enhances the health of our economy, our community, our people, and our planet through local foods. So as Ben and I mentioned in our intros, we joined the team just earlier this year, and it's been really great to work with Michelle and Giselle to see how our organization has grown in 2020 and how it'll continue to expand its reach in years to come. We also have a board of directors and advisory council, which are made of a kind of diverse group of stakeholders, from government leaders to educators to farmers to regular folks, academics, and the support of those people, as well as multiple organizations in our community, really makes our work possible. We're especially grateful for the Johnson County Board of Supervisors and the City of Iowa City government, who recognized kind of a gap in our community in terms of our local food system, the need for a food hub. So the Board of Supervisors in their 17-18 strategic plan actually wrote in that we would be getting a food hub. They chose Field to Family to fill that need. They helped us get started, and they are just our most amazing partners in all the work we do. And just something we like to include in any presentation we give is how to get involved. We're always looking for farmers and other community members to join our advisory council or board of directors. Let us know if that's something you're interested in. We have volunteer opportunities throughout the year, especially for our online farmers market. And anyone is welcome to become a member by making a donation to help fund our work and kind of join us on our mission as we move along. So you can learn more about any and all of those opportunities on our website or by contacting me at info@fieldofamily.org, and you can always follow us on social media to keep up to date with everything we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. So our food hub model that was sort of written into that plan with the Board of Supervisors and work that was done to listen to community need around the formation of our food hub was really aimed at serving institutional wholesale markets. So we serve customers like pre-K through 12 schools, colleges, universities, food access organizations, so food banks. That would also include our farm stand program, local businesses, retirement communities, and we haven't yet been able to serve hospitals, but that's definitely a goal for us. So really these larger buyers that are preparing meals for thousands of people in our community every day and are usually doing so with the food service. And so our food hub, like other food hubs across the country, manages the aggregation, storage, distribution, and marketing of local source identified food. If you look at food hubs across the country, you'll see that they will check all of those boxes, but do so in a bunch of different ways. And if you've been following Field to Family this year, you'll definitely have noticed that we haven't just served institutional customers. We've also been able to serve as a food hub, partner with the city of Iowa City and be able to help use some of the infrastructure that we have to start an online farmers market. And that still fits under this umbrella goal of, like Julia said, to expand access to more local food for people in the community. And institutions are a great way to do that. So we are working on every year continuing to get better and grow our operations and learn and pivot and figure out how do we really grow this infrastructure for our community in order to help connect producers to. So Julia, did you want to talk about this slide or am I talking about this slide?
Up to you.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So in our first year, which our official launch was in June of 2019, that was our official first year. We worked with 23 producers, 30 institutions, organizations, and businesses. And we met 100 for the first time in our farm to school programming. That was 10 years in the making, or 10 years of a partnership. We met 100% of the local foods demand for the school district. Now, of course, some of that had to do with having new staff and new support, but it also happened to be a really good year for the crops and the planting. 2020 looked really differently. We had a derecho, we had a pandemic. It's been a wild year. So I can't say the same thing for June to June of 2020, but we did double the schools that we were able to serve this year in 2020 as part of the Iowa Local Foods Day and these awesome efforts that happen around the state to try to get more healthy foods into school lunches. And we have been able to partner with the Farm Stand program to purchase and distribute food to people who are facing food insecurity. And I think we're seeing this in our state, we're seeing it across the country, that because of the pandemic, a lot more people are facing food insecurity. So trying to build in, like thinking about where the need lives in our community and what we can do as a nonprofit to try to connect people with food is certainly central to our mission. And we're looking to build in more equity metrics for next year as well, just to make sure that when we're thinking about the work that we do, we're really focusing around food justice. So in terms of growth, just in terms of sales, even though it's been a really challenging year, we still have seen 25% growth. We're in a good place where we feel like we're continuing to grow as we learn, and we're looking to take on new producers. So just as a timeline, we have this meeting, which is sort of just a general, what is wholesale readiness? Who are we as a food hub? What would a partnership look like? Then on Thursday, December 5th, we have a Beyond Wholesale meeting. So as we're thinking about what 2021 is going to look like, and as I know all of you are thinking about what is 2021 going to look like, kind of diving in and thinking what other markets, what other needs exist in the community that the Food Hub might be able to help connect local producers to consumers. So things like the farmers market, things like VeggieRx, other opportunities to promote local farmers. We want to talk about all of that good stuff on December 5th. So you are welcome to join that meeting. And we'll send an invite out in the follow-up email here, or you can check our Facebook.
One thing, Corbin just pointed out, we have a typo in here. That meeting, I believe, is actually Tuesday, December 3rd.
It's Thursday, December 3rd. The December 5th is a...
I see. Okay.
Thank you, Corbin.
Thank you, Corbin, so much.
There was one meeting earlier where I was like, say December 3rd, say December 3rd, and then I put it in here wrong. Thank you for pointing that out. It's December 3rd, a Thursday, from 5 to 6, so same time as today. And then month of December and likely into January as well, we're going to be having one-on-one virtual producer meetings. So that's when we sit down with the producers who we've worked with in previous years, who we know we work well with. We know what crops they can grow really well that our consumers want. And we really dive into the weeds of what are we projecting the demand is going to look like? What does crop planning look like? What does pricing look like? And we really kind of dive into the one-on-one of what will the partner of and that producer. So you'll notice a lot of the producers that we've worked with in previous years aren't at this meeting. I think that's because it's a little bit more on the informational side, more of a 30,000 foot view. And then we do just want to sit down and really dive into it one-on-one. So then January and February, our goal is to communicate and share out crop plans. So have really open communication about what we're hoping 2021 is going to look like as a hub and as producers. What we'll cover, Corbin, others, I hope farmers are loving my cover crop photo here. And hopefully you all are cover cropping right now, but we will talk about sort of our sourcing radius, what's the geography that we cover, go into some of the details of our producer agreement, quality specs, packaging, and food safety. So our radius is defined as within 100 miles of the border of Johnson County. Most of the producers that we work with are within 30 or 50 miles. We have a few that are a little bit outside of that. And we will occasionally look outside of our radius if there are products that aren't offered within the radius. So I think one example would be a dairy producer where we just weren't able to get that product at that scale within our radius. But really this is the market that we're focusing on. We want to be working with producers that are close to home, and we want to serve customers that are close to us as well. And if you're outside of our radius, there's other wonderful food hubs across the state that are serving some of these other portions that aren't within this circle. So as far as the producer agreement, we do require to have a producer agreement signed on file for every producer we work with. The nitty-gritty of it does depend on what kind of products we're offering. So if you're a meat producer, that requires a little bit different food safety requirements than just a produce person. So, but if you're produce, what we basically require is you have to be in compliance with FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, and you would have had to attend a Produce Safety Alliance training, which we have an invitation at the end if you haven't done that yet. And then we require a minimum of $1 million in product liability insurance. That's to protect you as a producer as much as it is to protect us and customers. And then farm visits are required if requested. We're in the process of revamping our producer agreement a little bit, and we are going to require a bit more than we did last year, really just in the way of making sure that we have water tests and things like that on file. So these are still, I think, really the main things of FSMA, liability insurance, and then if you have any certifications like USDA certification, to be able to provide a paper copy of that as well. All right.
Some of the details of, once we kind of have the products and we kind of have that established relationship of, what it's going to look like. And the first thing is kind of quality specs or specifications. And so for those of you unfamiliar with, the different varieties or the different qualities of a particular produce, we do sell them in terms of, a number 2, which is not quite up to the standard of a number 1, which is, it looks like it's great shape, great size. The sizes of the produce are very similar, so that would be kind of what a number 1 would be. The number 2 is kind of where, you might have the oddball size, the smalls or the bigs, and maybe they just got a few like scrapes, or, as you can see in that picture with the pepper, just, it doesn't look pretty, I guess, is one, but that it would still be, a safe produce to sell to consumers, but it just doesn't look as appealing from appearance. So we do kind of have those different options, and the price will be a little bit reflection of like, the quality of that as well. So just to kind of give you a little detail on the 2s versus 1s, and then we do have a link that kind of goes into detail of specific of, within each produce, what, the quality specs are for each produce. And I believe we'll be sharing that as well as part of a resource so that you can use that as a reference, when after this meeting, and just to kind of look over things as well. And so once we kind of look at, how we're going to break down produce from a 2 versus a 1, and, that aspect of it, when it comes down to delivery, each box will be that the box or the packaging will have to have your business or farm name, the date, as well as what type of product it was, and then the quantity. And so within each box, or like within however many you have, each box itself will have to have this, so that when we deliver it to a customer and, we take it to UI Cold Prep, they can see, okay, this box was from Flint Ridge Farm, and it was this date, and so they can see those details. And so that's part of what I do, is I just kind of check and make sure, okay, does the products when they brought in, do they have the proper labeling? And if they don't, there is, same with the quality aspect, there is, we will be like probably notifying and refusing the product if there is any indiscrepancies with a couple of these different items. And as well that, we have, these different aspects, and, we'll kind of work with you to help make sure that we're on the same page. But in the end, we might have to refuse some products if it doesn't match up with our specifications. As far as the boxes themselves go, we understand that, produce comes in all different sizes, like cases, or just how they're delivered, or even, within a farmer's market, people might use a Rubbermaid plastic container versus something else. And so like this is another option of, typically we will see producers who will use these wax boxes. And the thing with the wax boxes versus like a regular cardboard box is it has that liner to kind of help with just this food safety. And so we do require that we have the product in a new wax box. Have a new wax box like this. We would like a plastic liner that also can like substitute for a new wax box. So if you package your produce in, plastic bags, then you can, you don't have to put them in a new wax box if they're in plastic bags. So just to kind of keep that in mind, and then we kind of had a breakdown of, these are the different types of boxes that we typically see, as well as the prices. As you can tell, like there's a lot of boxes in like one unit or bale. So what farmers have done in the past is, you kind of collaborate with each other, or of, hey, like we'll kind of put together our money and like share this bale of wax boxes, just so it's not too much of a burden of, an initial cost of knowing like, hey, I'm not going to run through 600 boxes in a season or maybe 5 seasons. So that's a workaround. Found a way to kind of make it work and collaborating with each other. So, but just give you a little frame of reference of the sizes as well as the price. And then when it comes to actually putting the produce in our boxes, and how on our website of Local Food Marketplace, which we'll get into a little bit more detail later, this is typically traditionally how we have been selling the units. So instead of like a single bunch, we'll sell them in the cases, and they vary in terms of sizes. And it depends kind of on the product as well as, how much stuff, like how much the box can hold. So I just wanted to point out of like, for example, hot peppers that you can see at the very top of the 5-pound case. We also would like offer that in a 10-pound case. We can offer them in a 20-pound case as well as a 40-pound case. And then that gives our customers on their end, the flexibility to kind of, purchase the different quantities that will best fit their needs, because, the University of Iowa cold prep might not be ordering the same amount of items as, the restaurant that's down the road. And so having these variety of sizes kind of helps with, giving the customer more options, as well as the producers, you don't have to sell everything in one specific size. But the breakdown of the numbers just kind of shows you typically what we see is, 5, 10, 15, 20, 40. And then over on the far right of your screen, you'll see some of the unique products that aren't produce related specifically, but just, with eggs, we sell them instead of in 1 dozen, we'll sell them in 15 dozen cases. And then the yogurt, we might have a small pack, but they'll sell them in 12-count cases. So you can still like individually bag or package items into smaller quantities, such as cherry tomatoes in a pint or radishes in a 1-pound bag. But then overall, we'll list it as a 10-pound case. So so it gives you, however unique product you have, we'll still be able to like pack them, but then also sell them in a larger wholesale case.
Awesome, thanks, Ben. And yeah, this standardization of going to pounds really was to kind of, it was by request from our customers. And a lot of CSA growers or people who are selling at farmers market are used to selling radishes by the bunch or beets by the bunch. And so going to pounds just really helped us standardize it, because we had one time when somebody came in, we had 3 producers giving us radishes. One of them was a 1/2 pound, but there was a 1.5 pound bunch. So ordering 24 bunches meant something really different for different producers. So this helps us just make sure that we're setting prices and getting the same quantity of product to the folks that are ordering it.
And then this next slide, I just kind of wanted to talk about, okay, once we have kind of, you've delivered the product, you have the boxes. And so one task that I do is I'll go through the boxes and kind of check the quality specs, and the lining and the labeling. But then also we will, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So also we will like let you know, like, okay, we had, an issue or something or a refund. And then that way we can kind of let you know when it comes to invoice, any adjustment in the invoice, and we can let you know. When it comes to the invoice themselves, what we ask for with the invoice is that it has your name of your producer or your farm, your contact information, your address of your location, the phone number of that contact person, and then an invoice number so that we can kind of go, backtrack if we ever have to find, what's the specific day, we'll look for that invoice number as well as the delivery date. So then we can kind of keep track of it on a weekly basis. And typically our operating hours have been 9 to 5. And so just kind of keep that in mind of, when we will be at the office or not. And so that's just typically our working hours. Obviously this year, not everybody has been able to be present at the office. So it's a very unique year, but traditionally it has been a 9 to 5. And with our office hours, we also share our office with a company called Table to Table. They're a food rescue nonprofit. And so because we share the space, they have kind of the storefront of the space, and actually the best way to drop off the produce is actually around back. And when it comes to that aspect, Giselle and I can definitely help you navigate, how to get to the actual drop off location. So when it comes to that point, we can help you out with there, but just kind of wanted to put it out there that we do share a space with another organization, and so it tends to get we just get to know each other pretty well. So but so yeah, it's kind of, in terms of the delivery and then the whole process of transaction is kind of a snapshot.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. And
Mhm.
we can send you, this is just on Google Drive. It's a template for, again, anyone who hasn't had to use an invoice for their business. You're welcome to make a copy of this and adapt it. It's pretty simple. And then just make sure whatever's in red is filled in. The one thing I will add about payments that is different and the way that we operate is within net 30, which means that whenever you drop the product and the invoice off at the hub, you will receive a check in the mail within 30 days of that date. So that is different than folks who are used to just cash in hand at a farmer's market or are getting CSA sales and getting payments at the beginning of the year. So it's just something to keep in mind for cash flow and maybe changing a business model for producers who aren't used to waiting 30 days. And the reason why that is because we have similar payment terms with our customers. So it's something that we have to do in order to manage our cash. Okay, so we are super excited because we got this new spiffy order management software called Local Food Marketplace that we've been able to utilize. And especially in 2020, we've been grateful because people have been really excited about ordering food online. And I think that this feels, especially for some of those larger buyers, it feels really similar to what they're used to. So it's brought our producers and people who are selling through the hub sort of into this new convenient and easy to use platform for people who want to buy food. So I'm going to show you an example of what this looks like. Ben, can you see my screen okay? Are you seeing Local Food Marketplace?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So we're using this for the online farmers market right now, but this also is, so I'm logged in for the Saturday curbside pickup, which is the farmers market example, but for a university or a retirement community chef or a wholesale buyer that wanted to log in, they would come in and shop, but instead of carrots being sold by 2 pounds, it would be a 25-pound case. But you can see they can go and they can shop by category, they can shop by specific producer, they could shop by attribute. So if they were, Whole Foods really wanted to buy USDA certified organic, they could go in and see who's certified organic. And then another great feature of this site is that it has a Meet Your Producer page. So something that we're really dedicated to is making sure that we're helping to share the story and helping people understand where their food comes from. So as part of the training that we would go through, if folks on this call or others want to work with the hub in the coming year, we would offer a training on this software, and we would help you set up your profile. So Buffalo Ridge is an example. They did a great job. They tell us that they use. Then you can scroll down and see the thousands of varieties of apples that they offer throughout the season. I'm exaggerating a bit. You can link to their website, and it has their contact info. So this is one of the ways that we try to really tell the story of where these products on our list are really coming from, and provide a lot of transparency that way. So yeah, like I said, trainings will be provided in the spring, and it's something where producers log on every week and share what their availability looks like for their week. If they have 20 cases of carrots or 50 cases of cucumbers, they would input that in the system. So just a final checklist for wholesale readiness. If your farm or business is located within a 100-mile radius, you'll need to sign a producer agreement, be in good standing relationship from previous years, high quality product, ability to work with us in our schedule, and then accountability and commitment to regular communication. A huge part of this is communication, because things are changing, and we need to be able to make sure that whatever the farmer needs to know from the customer and vice versa, that we're kind of constantly making sure that everybody is in the know. I'm gonna pause for a second. Are there any dying questions? Can we wait to the end? Okay, I'll keep going. Common question, how do we determine pricing? It's a constant process and negotiation. After doing this for a couple years, we do have a good sense of what we can sell different products at, and we do strive to get farmers a fair price for their product. We also add a 20%, we strive for 20% margin of sale in order to cover our costs. We do want to be around 5 to 10 years, and what we've learned from other hubs around the nation is that, you really have to run it like a business, even if you are under a nonprofit umbrella. And so how do we select the products? Part of it is, what are people really good at growing? So Alfred, if you're amazing at growing hot peppers, and Corbin, if you grow the best eggplant around, then there's a certain element of trying to find the right customer for those products. And then on the flip side is working with the customer to try to really figure out what works for their system. For a lot of kitchens, butternut squash is really hard because it's hard to process, but cherry tomatoes are awesome for the schools because they can just do a half cup, and the kids will eat them up. So it's trying to sort of work both ways and figure out where the price point is, where the quantity lies, and sort of play matchmaker that way. Is key. The whole local food system is based on relationships. So we really value that, and we want to make sure that we're communicating well with our producers and that we're communicating well with the people who are buying food. And we kind of expect the same from our producers. So every once in a while, you're going to list a certain number of cases of a crop, and then you're going to get hail and the lettuce is going to be destroyed. And so we just need to know that as soon as we can so that we can respond accordingly. Like I said, a producer agreement will be signed. And then I guess for this meeting is just like, maybe you're not quite at that point of wholesale, but maybe we could try a few things, pilot a few crops, do a few small sales, if you have this willingness to scale up and want to do more in future years. So yeah, basically the customer carts on the customer end, they would log into that order platform I just says, and then the carts close 10 a.m. on Friday. So what we ask is that as a wholesale producer, you'd be telling us your availability by Tuesday. And so we would have those exact quantities entered into the system so that our customers can't overorder those items, and that we can promise that we'll deliver whatever we put on the cart. And then Friday around noon, you then receive those orders. And then I don't have it on this chart, I apologize for that, but delivery to the hub is Mondays. So it's like a cycle that we'll get into, but basically you would get the orders on Friday afternoon and then have to deliver on a Monday. Ben, did I do that justice? You're the operations guy.
No, that was spot on. And so when the deliveries happen on Monday, typically Giselle will deliver to the customers on Tuesday. The customers, sometimes we have to work with them on, a unique delivery for them. But for the most part, the deliveries will happen on Tuesday. And then so typically, Tuesday morning is when we'll check inventory, make sure, okay, 6 cases were purchased. Okay, do we have 6 cases? Yep, we look good. Okay, does the labels look good? Yep, quality looks good, check. And then that's when I'll load it up into our reefer van and deliver it to our customers.
I will update this and send it out as well as a follow-up, because that chart was a little bit confusing, I think. So other resources we're going to share at the end, we'll share a link to this PowerPoint. We'll share a copy of our FAQs that producers often ask. We'll share a producer guide to local food marketplace. I know that the software might seem a little, we would ask that you're, updating availability to this platform every week, but there's a really, really nice guide, and would be here to talk you through it and provide trainings for that software. We'll share that invoice template and a few surveys as well.